Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it!
Hop on board, D-pads. We are definitely taking a look at the classic movie Rain Man.
No. We're not doing Rain Man. We're doing Rayman, the game.
The one where he doesn't have
No neck.
We're taking a look at Michel Ancel's darling Rayman from 1995 on the PlayStation this week on the Retrograde podcast.
Welcome to the Retrograde
podcast where we remind you what you used to love and whether or not you still should.
My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Michel on Sarenworth. Yes. I mean, it's so close to Michel Ancel.
Oh, it's so close.
Michel Ancel is a guy that I want to talk about a lot
Yeah.
on this episode of the podcast. And by the way, this is the podcast where we take a look back at the games that we used to play when we were kids. Usually it's something we had an affinity towards one way or another. We rate and review the games as we remember them back when we used to play them. And we take a break, play the game, and rate and review them as they hold up in the modern day against the likes of modern games. And this week, as we mentioned in the intro to the intro, this is Michel Ancel's darling, the 1995 PlayStation classic Rayman.
Wow. Rayman, a game that we have talked about for a while, and for very interesting reasons. It's because we don't know it. But I do know it. I know what he looks like.
Yes.
I know what the cover looks like. I know what Rayman is, except I never played it.
So I have played. I've never played the original.
Okay.
But I did play some of the iterations that came afterwards. It's one of those games that's like always existed. It's always been around. And we'll get into it when we actually like get into the weeds on Rain Man. We'll do. I'm going to say Rain Man all episode long. All episode long.
Do you really? Have you ever seen Rain Man?
No, I haven't, but I've been called Rain Man on several occasions.
You can guess why. Because you're short and cranky to deal with, just like Dustin Hoffman in that movie.
And Marathon Man.
Yes, and Marathon. Yeah, well, he's in lots of movies.
He's a
very, very accomplished actor.
And he killed a bunch of horses on Luck.
Yeah, he did. David Mamet's Luck. Yes. Yes. The TV show that I know so much about and never came out.
It never came. Wait, no, it did. Didn't it come out for a couple eepisodes?
Did it?
I'm pretty sure
it did. 2 episodes and then got killed like the horses on the set.
Yeah. Someone took a shotgun to it because it rolled its ankle. I agree. This is a game that I've always been familiar with and I'm excited to talk about, but I didn't really get into it until later, and it wasn't until doing some of my research on the franchise that I realized, and this is weird to say because it's not like we're outside of the realm of gaming, but it's I didn't realize how big it actually was. As weird as that sounds.
Well, there's a few characters in video games in which I've never played the game, yet I'm very familiar with them. And Rayman's one of them.
I actually wanted to ask you what some of those games were because I think Rayman is the kind of thing, it came out at a certain time. Look, it came out originally on the Atari Jaguar and the PlayStation 1. It was a launch. Whoa, holy shit. What the fuck was that?
That was pretty good.
I don't like when wild animals are in my house, Andrew.
Really? What do you call my penis? Okay, wow, that was the first 5 minutes of this episode.
That's the first time that you.
I know, it's usually you.
Yeah, it's usually me.
Yeah,
but it feels good. Now I can get on my
good. This is really open
ivory
the cage
tower and look down on you. Stop talking about wild animal things. Opening cages, Jaguar roars.
Yeah. So it was on the Atari Jaguar?
Atari Jaguar and the PlayStation 1.
I was thinking about the Atari Jaguar very recently because over at Patreon, very good.
Thank you.
At patreon.com/retrograde podcast, our Mushroom Club, where we're going to be talking about controllers.
Yes.
And I remember what the Jaguar controller looks like, and it was not good.
It's honestly, there were a lot of Atari hits and a lot of Atari misses.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes for both their consoles and their controllers as well. So we will get into that. Actually, if you're interested, we're going to do a tier ranking of a bunch of different classic and modern controllers from S to F, Andrew. We're going to run the gamut.
Absolutely. We're doing it the correct way. S to F.
S to F.
Yeah. Makes you think.
Yeah. I like A to M, to be honest.
You do, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's usually my go-to. Andrew, but I was going to ask you because I wanted to talk about this, in digging up a game like Rayman, something that you and I don't have a ton of experience with, but a lot of people do. It got me thinking about franchises that I feel I should know more about or should have played more about. And I know there are a ton of them out there. The most notable one that we bring out all the time is your lack of experience with the Zelda franchise. Just not something you ever really got into.
I know Zelda.
You know of it.
Little sprite with a green hat and pointy ears, and he's got a sword.
Or is he going to the fire temple? Then he's going to have a red hat on.
So that was a joke. That's Link. I know that. But everyone doesn't. Everyone calls him Zelda. That's the joke.
Okay, so you're gonna have to walk me through this again, Andrew.
Yeah,
Here.
it's funny.
You're saying that The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time,
Sure.
on the title, the
The
titular,
eponymous.
is it the eponymous?
Well, it's not though.
It's not, but
That
he's on Epona, so
You lost me.
Epona's the horse.
Oh, Epona's the horse.
Epona's the horse.
So you're telling me there's a horse in this game?
Horses! Oh no! Ride like the wind, bullseye.
You're a good podcast.
Epona cast. No, yeah, there's a horse named Epona, and it's ironic because the eponymous title is not related to the man in the green.
Well, it's not, and that seems very funny if I understood anything that you were saying. But I am very aware of Link,
Yes.
and Zelda.
What other franchises? What?
Anybody in Final Fantasy, because they have such a clear haircut,
Yes.
large sword. They're kind of wearing a halter top of some capacity.
Yeah, usually, yeah,
And
yeah,
you're like, it could be any character, and I'm like, that's probably from Final Fantasy, right?
You can very easily tell who a Final Fantasy character is. I've played a few of the Final Fantasy games, but like the degree to which fans are fans of that franchise, I may as well have never played it at all. Like I Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 10 would be the two that I spent the most amount of time with. But there are, I was going to say 14, but I'm guessing there are probably closer to 74.
What?
They're probably closer to 74. By
That's
the
a lot.
By the time this episode drops,
Yes.
there's going to be way more Final Fantasy games.
It feels like what's the game with the Disney characters too?
The game with Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. So it feels like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy are one of these, and please tell me if I'm wrong, D-pads, but it feels like one of these things that if you didn't get into while you were in a growing period of your life, it would be almost nearly impossible to go back and go like, I'm going to play Final Fantasy 1 and get into this.
100%.
Like I would feel like, what is going on?
Yeah, there's way too much going on, way too much. Even though the story does kind of reset and the fighting, like the combat has kind of reformatted itself in several iterations, but Kingdom Hearts in general is just a crazy, and that was another one on my list where I did play one. For the life of me, I can't tell you what the fuck happened in it. I know there's a character named Sora. I know that a lot of people wanted them in Smash Bros. I know that they got a Keyblade. And I know that I wanted one of those Keyblades as a kid. Keyblade is a sword that looks like a key, baby.
Wow.
I think that probably has something to do with Disney being like, look, if Mickey's going to be in this, you can't stab him.
I just love somebody going to Orlando, Florida and being like, I'm going to the sorry, what is the game called again?
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. I'm going to the Kingdom Hearts theme park. And you're like, you mean Disney World, right? And they're like, no. No, I know these guys from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, imagine finding out later that they have another life.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's not even unrealistic anymore because when's the last time Mickey was in a movie?
That's a good point.
Like the 70s?
That's a good point.
You know?
I would love to see a new Mickey Mouse movie.
Somebody very smart and very creative should take control of that and be like, okay, cool. Like, can we...
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon.
Give it to Joss.
Where's
he been? I mean,
what's going on with Joss?
What's he been? He's got to have some time on his hands.
It was so funny. He did it was like, I think it was LA Magazine or something like that. I forget what it was. Some like big expose of like, we're going to let the writer into our house. And
yes.
It was like, you could, they do that every once in a while, like a reformation project of like, get to know me. It's been a struggle. And he doesn't come across as that great still. And you're like, oh boy.
This is your best bitch?
So this is bad.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still really
he
bitter.
looked miserable to have that writer there.
Yes.
I saw that one. So another one I think that I've got, Starcraft, a franchise that I have maybe played like at a friend's house or something, but was enormous for a lot of people. I feel like I should have played more of that, especially, Blizzard and me having gotten into Overwatch.
Yes.
There's another one.
You're a big Blizzard boy.
I'm a big Blizzard. You call me a triple B, baby. You know where to find me.
I know. Actually, I am not a Blizzard guy, so like even World of Warcraft would be tough.
Yeah. I did play some World of Warcraft.
You do?
I did.
Did you like it?
I tried to like it.
Oh.
And it consumed a lot of my time. Okay. But I found people so mean. They were so mean in there. And I did. Okay, this is actually a really good story. And you know it's going to be because I'm telling you.
Because you told me that.
Because I'm going to tell you.
Cut to the end. The review is good story.
Okay, tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, I'll tell you if you're wrong.
So, I was a child once. We all were.
Yeah.
Some of us.
Most.
Except for Stone Cold Steve Austin. He actually said that he was never a child.
No, he was born with a goatee, bald, cracking 2 beers out of his mother's womb.
And he, so I was a child. I was in Winnipeg visiting my grandparents.
Okay.
Winnipeg is a place in Canada for all you Americans who definitely don't know where Winnipeg is.
Yeah.
I took a flight home. That flight is, I think, around 3 or 4 hours.
Is it really?
It's around there. It's farther away than people realize.
Wow.
So let's say 3 hours, something like that. Okay. Fly home, play some World of Warcraft. I've been waiting to play it all weekend
Can't
long.
wait.
And I wanted to get, I think it was a gun of a certain
You can
kind.
get a gun in that game?
Yeah, you don't even need a background check. You just walk into a World of Walmart, pick it up, take it to, I don't know, some event. So I was like, I don't know how to get this. This is like still sort of early days of the internet where it was hard to get like a specific understanding of what to do, like a guide.
Right.
So I'm doing the best that I can. And I find out that you can get guns and they're in this one place called Forge. I don't know. It's like a dwarf place.
Sure.
I don't know. And I look at the map and I see that it is on the other side of the map. And the World of Warcraft is a large
Massive,
world.
yes.
So I'm like, well, only one way for me to get there. And I start walking. In game, I start walking. I don't have a mount. I didn't know that any other way to do it. I just start walking in the direction of where it would be on the map. I'm now swimming in oceans. I'm meeting people who are wildly over leveled for me.
Yeah.
It's taking me so long. I end up hoofing it on foot for 4.5 hours.
Jesus.
I traveled more time in game than I did on my flight back from Winnipeg to Toronto. And finally I get to this place and I'm like, and I talked to someone, they're like, what are you doing here? You're so underleveled. And I was like, I'm trying to get to this place. And they're like, take the boat. I'm like, you can take a boat? And it turns out you can take a boat.
Oh, cool.
And thank God I did, because that probably saved another 4 hours of my life. But it was, a miserable game that I'm happy I didn't play more of, because I could have seen that absolutely and utterly consuming my life.
Sucking you in. That's my fear about those games, because I'd probably love them.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Also, Blizzard just having a real issue with just fan bases just being mean. And it's
Being
probably
really
brought
mean.
to you by the headquarters, who also sounds like just being there is mean. Everyone's mean all the time.
Bobby Kotick, I don't know. I think he should just lead a spiritual conference and tell how to get along with each other. He seems
All
pretty
right,
good at that.
you guys win. I'll say it. We're sorry.
We're
And all
we're
your
sorry
sins
if you
get
were
washed away.
If you were offended by something we did,
Exactly.
we're
Yeah,
sorry.
you got to turn it back around.
That's basically what the Pope just said to the indigenous communities in Canada.
That was a nightmare. And then they put a headdress on. Oh God, it's a real nightmare situation. But yes, if you go, I'm so sorry, I did something that you found offensive.
Yeah.
Not me.
No,
You.
no, it's you.
Yeah,
You
you.
did. I just did this thing. That's the equivalent of Bart saying he's just gonna walk forward, windmilling his fists,
Yes.
and if Lisa gets in the way, it's her fault. You know?
I'm going to close my eyes. It's on you.
And then Homer just walking towards the pie, chomping his mouth. But you know what? Actually, one thing we should have talked about at the outset here. Big news in the gaming community today.
Oh yeah,
big news.
What's going on?
Grand Theft Auto 6 has essentially been confirmed, and we have a small number of details being leaked.
Oh really?
Yeah.
This is news to me.
This is news to
I
you.
am so excited.
A busy news day in that regard. Jason Schreier of the Triple Click podcast put out some good articles for Bloomberg on this one. One of them is actually a pretty decent one about how Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto, especially in regards to the Grand Theft Auto franchise, has to change in light of how the world has changed since GTA 5, which came out almost 10 years ago.
That is insane.
2013. Isn't that nuts?
Oh God, that blows my mind.
It's scary to think about, and it's still the far and away like the most profitable game out there.
It's absurd.
So now they've announced Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah.
What we do know about it, female protagonist.
Cool.
I believe she's Latina. I think they said. Unless that was just speculation, but I'm pretty sure I read that. And it's going to be taking place in Miami.
Whoa, going back to Vice City.
Going back to Vice City, but a modern day Vice City. And they say it's a city that's going to be changed and updated as time goes on, which I think paves the way for them to just start from scratch with a new online system.
Yes.
And everyone jump ship, go to GTA 6. And I wonder how long GTA 5 is going to remain profitable for them in the light of GTA 6 coming out.
I think till 2 months after the launch of GTA 6.
I bet you it still remains wild. There's such a huge install base that I think it splits the fan base like, 50-50 or something like that, 60-40, but you're still going to have a ton, because 40% of the current GTA 5 online fan base is still fucking massive. It's still more than most other games out there right now.
It's insane how much. But you know what? It does, like, I love GTA, but I haven't played in a long time. But I did love that game. And even when my player one went to go back and play it and stuff like that, I was like, you just kind of peering over and you're just like, it still looks really good.
It really does.
And it does tempt you all the time, because you'll get on the PlayStation, Premium Plus things, you'll get like an email and it go like, they'll give you $6 million in a boat. If you go back to the thing, you're like, I want $6 million in a boat. I know, like, maybe I'm like,
the feudal system where they're like, move to Canada. We'll give you $2,000, a sheep, and a plot of land. Yeah, exactly.
Enough whiskey for a year. And I look at it and I'm like, I want to go do that. But it's like the World of Warcraft thing. I'm like, no.
Every time I think about how much I would find it cool to live in a world like that, just like really let that world consume you. I then remind myself how little I like the controls of a Grand Theft Auto game. They're not going to be fixed online.
No.
It's going to be just as bad. The chaos could be fun, though.
It's definitely chaotic.
Yeah. Have you ever played GTA 5 online?
I've played it online a couple of times, but I never got enough that I was moving up.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like me going like, oh, okay, I remember. Okay, but I'm really low grade. Oh, what do I have in my weapons thing? And then a guy in a like cat themed Lamborghini just takes my head off because he's jumping and like sideswiping at the same time, and I'm like, wow, that was fast. And then you're immediately
fun.
And then you're getting refreshed back into the world, and they're hunting you, and you're like, oh no,
that's
God.
what seems miserable to me. If there were, I would like to live in a subsect of the GTA 5 online world or GTA 6 online world when it comes out that is civil.
Yeah,
and it's like you just live you obey traffic signals.
Yes, it's the most boring version of GTA.
The most
stoplights.
But you know what's weird is like that becomes the most exhilarating form of GTA if you play it after so long of having played the other style, because you're like, well, I gotta wait. Like the anxiety you get waiting behind a car, knowing that if you wanted to, you could just pull out a rifle, mow him down, steal his car, and drive off through the red light that you're trying to.
The red light is the most dangerous part of that story.
Part of that story. Yeah, exactly.
Not blowing people's heads off.
No, Andrew, you can get a gun in a Walmart these days.
Yeah, you really can.
I told you about my World of Warcraft story. Just walked 4 hours to a Walmart.
Ammunition.
Yeah. What do you think? Give me some predictions for GTA 6. What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I think the multi-character worked really well last time. Okay. So it wouldn't shock me for them to do that. For the size of the story that they need to tell, it probably needs to be multiple protagonists.
Right.
Obviously, the last version was Heat. Like very, pretty directly. So I wonder if like the next one's going to be like...
what game are we going to get?
Well, I wonder if it's going to be Scarface. But
well, that's Vice City though, right?
Yeah, but isn't this Vice City? They don't do real
80s.
cities.
It's not 80s.
No, I understand that, but like Heat was in the 80s too. So
true.
And it was pretty modern. So like I wonder if they're going to do it with Latin protagonists. Obviously the main character is Cuban and Scarface.
But no, what I mean is like that was the backstory of Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Yeah.
So you think they're going to do Scarface again?
What? Oh yeah, right. It was
right. Like there was a little Goodfellas. Okay. There's a lot of things.
I was just thinking of local things because of Miami, because LA was Heat. So
yes,
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like, but it's got to be multiple protagonists, and I bet you could probably either go to not Cuba, but like you can traverse to a different area because they got to make Florida gigantic. But actually, Florida's a really cool idea because like swamps and like, oh man, that'd be kind of fun.
There's a lot of filler there if they want to, just like the deserts in California. They said originally they wanted to make it so that it was most of North and South America.
Jesus.
And they're like, that's just too big of a scope. But if they came out and said that, I'd be like, no fucking wonder it's taken 10 years.
Yeah, that's also, and you're like, oh, okay, absolutely. And then Mikey immediately goes, well, I'm never playing that game once.
Nope, never. Too big. Way too big for me. Other predictions.
Yeah, what do you got?
I'm trying to think of like more of like a gameplay, something that changes. I think there's going to be more of a subdued nature to it a little bit. I think it's going, Grand Theft Auto is always about going big and the tanks and this and that. I think you're going to be
grounded,
a little bit more grounded than the last one, because I can't imagine, unless they go the other way, because I'm thinking like the political climate that we're dealing with since 2013, so much has happened in our world to make us rethink our relationship to crime, to guns, to cops, to everything, right? And I wonder if they either go bigger to make it clearly satire, or they really dial it down to make it more poignant.
Yeah, like the idea of mowing people down on the street is maybe not as exhilarating as it once was. Like you can't have a Disney World like we were joking about earlier.
Right.
And just walk into Disney World and start shooting people. Like
there's
that
a new
like
connotation to it.
Genuinely terrifying.
Terrifying.
Now. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I wonder how they do it, because like especially in GTA 5, you could drive pretty much everything. There was helicopters and planes, there were submarines, there was boats, jet skis and stuff like that, and obviously motorcycles and cars. So I wonder if they can expand in any other vehicles. Probably not. They probably nailed all of those. I bet you it is street side things of just like what it's more realistically like.
I would like that though.
And I don't mean controls wise because I think we're stuck with GTA controls forever.
Unfortunately, you're probably right.
Well, it's just too many years of this. I think it's just like they're not going to be like, we've redone everything.
Just make the aiming tighter. Just make good aiming. Make it so that I don't rely on lock on.
How dare you?
Just remove lock on and then balance the game around that.
I bet you could in the options, in the settings.
No, but then the game's not balanced around it. Right. You know, like that. It's like Red Dead. And this is one of the things I always hated about Red Dead. A great game, but a game that I have a lot of issues with.
Yeah, clearly.
In that game, bumping into someone in the middle of town is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
In that context.
Disrespect.
And then 20 seconds later, you're on a mission. 20 minutes later, you're on a mission, and there are hundreds of people shooting at you. It's like, if shooting people is a big deal in one context, make shooting people a big deal in another context. And then I know people are going to say, well, what are you going to do to make an exciting mission? Blah, blah, blah. Balance the controls, balance the gameplay around killing one person being a more difficult task or a bigger deal. Like, give me that game. And I don't want to hear that it's not doable anymore because it's just like, well, one gunshot and how do you balance the AI? Someone can do it. Yeah. And I think if someone can do it, as much flack that I throw at them, it's Rockstar. Yeah. They're so good at this shit.
They are very good at it.
And I want to see more of that.
But, it's, I also think that, the most profitable game for the last 10 years has a lot to work on. It's been an abject failure. That's true. And I need to, I know that's not what you're saying, but it's, I agree with you. I think it needs to grow up.
Yes.
And the people that have, really grew up with the game, you, me, like we are of that generation that we could have played it on PC.
Yep.
And could have played it when all of a sudden you were near Tommy Vercetti and, in GTA 3. So
Tommy Vercetti is Vice City.
No, he's Vice City. Yeah. I mean, what was the silent guy's name in GTA 3?
The dude, I think, or the guy.
The guy.
That
sucks. That's boring. Yeah.
And then you had, who was it in San Andreas? It was...
what was his name?
Listen to us figuring this out.
No, sorry. People are screaming at us.
Yeah, I know.
No, I agree with you. I think people can grow up with the game. I just think the problem is it is literally the most profitable piece of IP in the world that they're going to be like, no, let's keep it general so anyone can play this game.
Regardless, it is a lose-lose for them.
Yeah, it is true.
That's true. It's look at what happened to Overwatch. With Overwatch 2.
Which part? Which part?
Just Overwatch 2 comes out and it's like relatively similar. They changed it a little bit.
Yeah.
And they either changed it way too much or not at all.
That was a lose-lose.
You're never going to win. No, right? You're never going to win.
I know the number of people with Overwatch 2, which as of recording today, by the way, which is not the day that comes out, obviously. It's not radio. It is 69 days away from coming out.
Ooh!
I think that's I think that's a little
that's fucking nice.
It's nice, man.
It's also nice.
What's that?
An idea that we have. Actually, sorry. Before we move on, I do want to say one more thing about Grand Theft Auto.
And Red Dead sucks.
And Red Dead sucked, bro. No, it's this. We will continue to make predictions as this goes on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But one thing that I'm very curious to see tonally, a choice that they make. They've always almost been like the Joker in Batman, where it's just like, you don't know where we stand because we'll say anything. We'll do anything. Like, are we being satirical? Are we making a point? It's like you can read anything into it because they're just loud and obnoxious and angry about everything.
Yeah.
Everything's on the table. And I don't think that type of humor and that type of storytelling goes nearly as far as it used to back then. And I think they're going to have to tell a story with more of a message. Like more of a point of view.
And I always, it was a very different time when GTA 5 came out, but I always actually remember kind of being happy with them, the line that they kind of straddled of like, there's some extreme, like Trevor is an extreme character that has extreme views, but he also has a heart. And you could clearly tell he's disgusted by things and he has a moral compass and stuff like that. And so that allows you to take wild stands and do crazy things. But at the same time, you could tell how the developer feels on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes, but with other things, and in particular with the environment and world building, one of the things I've always had an issue with in Grand Theft Auto is like, you'll have someone walking around and just like say a racial slur or like say, and it's like, well, we didn't say it. You can kill that guy if you want, but it's like, you're also just leaving it out in the open in a way to be like,
I don't like that.
Yeah. Like if you don't kill that guy, then maybe you want to be buddies with that NPC. It's like, and maybe you don't want to feel the heavy hand of a developer in an open world game as much. Sure. But
that talks about free choice as much as it does.
Yes. And maybe that's it. And we'll see how they straddle that line. But I'm excited to see where they go with it. I'm always fucking amped at the result of a new Grand Theft. I remember when GTA 4 was coming out, they would show the trailers and they'd break them down like, hey, did you notice that this NPC like crumpled up a piece of paper and just threw it out the window? And you're like, oh shit, that's so cool. Like all those little bits of details, Rockstar is so good with them.
They're so good at it. And like all the radio stations and all the dialogue you hear and stuff like that. And you're like, how much work went into this?
Too much work.
It's just crazy. Too much work. Dial it back. Duh, be lazy.
Well, we weren't lazy when we were thinking up a little segment that we wanted to do on this podcast, Andrew. We talked a couple weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago now. We didn't have time prior to our last recording. Offhandedly. Yeah. We talked about our
what are you talking about?
I don't know. I just feel like my stomach because we got to.
You okay? Do you want to stop for a second?
We talked about reading.
Oh. Fuck, Mikey, Jesus, man. Like, what are you trying to do?
I feel it's like a ball of dough in my stomach.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And we said, why don't... Jesus Christ.
You're actually going to vomit here?
Yeah, it's actually making me sick. We talked about what a good game would be is trying to summarize the plot of a game in 3 sentences. Because we don't want dialogue. Context. We don't want written dialogue. No. Just the plot of a game in 3 sentences. I don't want to do too many because I want this to be a recurring thing. But let's give a couple examples. I think we need to workshop this and feel it out because then I want to turn it to the audience and say, send us your, and we gotta think of a name for it. 3 sentence.
3.
I got one.
Okay. Oh, wow, that was quick. Nice. Wow.
I'm going to start speaking and I don't know if this is going to work.
Okay, good.
3 sentences to you might get the title.
What the fuck was that? Say it again. Loud. It goes quicker though. Like you're a lot of pauses.
3 sentences to you might get the title. Like 310 to Yuma, but it's 3 sentences.
Oh, no.
3 10.
I was thinking sentences to life or something. 3 sentences to, something like that. But
that's not quite as good as 3 sentences you might get the title.
310 to Yuma. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow. If you remember what Mikey said, hashtag it and we'll try and find it.
No, send your, we'll give you kind of the bare bones of it in a couple examples back and forth as we workshop it and send it to the retrogradepodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on our socials at retrogradepod, at retrogrademikey, at retrogradeandy, and we'll try to incorporate them. We're going to try to do 1 a week or so.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it there. More information on that coming towards the end of this episode. But Andrew, do you want to lead us off? I know you got a couple examples.
I've got a couple that we just real quickly, and I bet this will evolve as we find it more of a style.
I think so, yeah.
But I got a couple here. So Mikey, also, if you know it, give the audience at home a couple seconds to think about it, okay? A famous athlete and a group of his less famous friends explore a 3D environment permeated by an ambience of ska music.
Read that one once more.
Yeah, okay. A famous athlete and a group of his less famous friends
explore
a 3D environment permeated by an ambience of ska music.
Athlete is the word there that which confused me, but I got it.
All right. So everyone at home, pause if you don't have it. Mikey, what is it?
Well, I'll say it at the. I do know. I promise you. I will be accurate. I will be truthful. If it's.
Oh, you just want me to say it?
No. I want you to say the next 2 sentences.
Oh no, that's all I had for that one.
Oh, just one.
No,
sentence.
I had some commas and some other stuff.
Okay. So the way. So it's Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
It is Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Tony Hawk.
Tanya Hawk.
Tanya Hawking. she's busting her own ankle and spending the rest of her life in a wheelchair.
And here to break your legs.
I am the center of the figure skating universe. Okay, so here's my 3 sentences, 1 game.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, that it goes sentence by sentence and it gets easier as it goes on?
Yes.
Oh, that's so much better.
So here's the one that I have, okay?
Okay, that's such a better idea.
Your mom dies.
Oh, no.
Sending you on a trek across the United States to reconnect with your sister.
Wow. I've got a guess.
Okay, don't guess it yet.
No, I'm not.
But you have to be honest with me.
I'm a very honest guy. I don't like lying.
Okay.
Friends don't lie.
Sentence number 2.
Yeah.
Once again, sentence number 1. Your mom dies. Sending you on a trek across the United States to reconnect with your sister.
Yeah.
Sentence number 2. Hopefully you can reconnect the country along the way.
Oh, now I don't know it. Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. All right. Can you repeat that again? Just for everyone
Sentence
at home?
1. Your mom dies.
Yeah.
Sending you on a trek across the United States to reconnect with your sister.
Okay. Yeah.
Sentence number 2.
Sentence number 2.
Hopefully you can reconnect the country along the way.
Wow. That's something.
Sentence
Yeah.
3. Your mom
Yeah.
is the president.
Wow. My mom's the president?
Is the president.
Holy shit. I don't know if I know this.
I think you do.
The Division?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
It's Death Stranding.
Oh.
Remember, it's like we have to meet you.
Yeah, the president thing I remember coming out. And I was like,
It's your
whoa,
mom.
it's your mom.
So a
Wait.
trek across the United States.
So that's why they're doing this, because the mom died?
Well, the mom dies and sends you on a trek to, well, I mean, there was the Death Stranding. And you have to reconnect all the strands. So they say you got to go find your sister. Your sister's been kidnapped by a terrorist organization.
Okay.
So you have to reconnect with her on the other side of the United States.
Yeah.
Along the way, you're supposed to connect all the different states.
Right, I got that part now.
Yeah, to the
I
network.
got guess number 2 really well based on now your answer. But you know what I'm finding out? Maybe I just didn't know what that game was really about.
You know what? I don't think Kojima did either.
So it would be great at home, Kojima, listening to this podcast like, Pokemon? Oh, it's my game. Wow. Which one?
Do you want to give me
Metal
one
Gear
more?
Solid?
Do you want to give me one more?
I only got the one sentence though.
Okay.
Now I feel like I failed everybody.
No,
Okay.
I only made that one because I don't want to go too much. But give me one more,
Okay,
and then
and
we'll,
so
yeah.
if anyone submits it, do it based on Mikey's format. It's
Yes,
much better.
I like that one.
Okay, so I thought I was just giving you a little thing. Here we go. Several ex-police vigilantes trying to rid a fictional large American city from a crime syndicate that has corrupted its local government.
Okay, sorry, read that one again.
Yeah, absolutely. Several ex-police vigilantes trying to rid a fictional large American city from a crime syndicate that has corrupted its local government.
Several ex-police vigilantes.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Several ex-police
I took that phrase directly from its Wikipedia page.
No way.
Yeah, because I couldn't have thought that myself. Several ex-police vigilantes. I wish I had more for you.
It's not Vigilante 8, is it?
No, it's not Vigilante. It's from 1991.
1991?
Yeah. Right? Prime time for this podcast.
Oh, is this River City Ransom?
It is Streets of Rage.
Oh,
Streets
nice.
of Rage. We were looking for Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage.
Okay, so that's 3 sentences.
So a way we could do that with the 3 sentences is that's the first one. The second one is
a little more obvious.
blah, blah, blah.
Hager.
No, Hager's final fight.
I know,
final fight.
I'm sorry.
And then the third sentence could be, some cops love rollerblades.
We just did it too. It's so good. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. We want to hear from you. Do it for this, because I would love to give a lot of credit to somebody that absolutely stumps us.
I bet you, and keep in mind, when you're doing it, you want it to be purposely vague, but not obtuse in the way that it's meant to be. Like connect the United States makes, to reconnect with your sister. I'm not saying save your sister, reconnect, but reconnect could mean, things like that. Make it so that it's cheeky. I think cheek is good in this one.
100%. So yeah, there's 3 sentences. Yeah, Mikey, now I've got a bunch in my head.
Yeah, we're gonna get to writing, and we'll get more details on that at the end of the episode. But before we get to the end of the episode, we got to get to the beginning of this week's game, which is Rayman, the 1995 classic, imagined and created and directed by Michel Ancel of, at the time, just like the main title's character, with detached limbs all over the place. This was the time when Ubisoft was 2 words, detached words.
Oh,
yeah.
Ubisoft,
baby.
Ubi. What a weird word.
I never know if I'm saying that right.
It doesn't seem right.
Some people say Ubisoft.
Ubisoft.
And I think that's probably correct.
That is probably right.
I like to say Boobisoft.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, because I know what they feel like. So
yeah, you've definitely felt depressed in your life.
I'd like to say that I felt 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Just 1.
Just 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get
By
to
the time I was getting
one.
to the second, they slapped my hand away. I had to run. Yeah.
I had to run.
Yeah. Blizzard Activision is a weird.
It's a weird corporate policy about
one boob touch is fine.
One breast at a time. Don't be greedy.
And then you got the CEO walking around. He's like, call me booby Kotick, more like. And we're like,
absolutely.
that's why we love you.
He's like, do I need to apologize for that? And they're like, no. And he's like, got it. Because I wasn't going to.
Give me my golden parachute. You'll get it, Bobby. I'm sure you will.
Oh, you will.
Created by Michel Ancel, as we said, with credit going to Frederic Oud as well. They're from France.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
So I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that Oud.
Is it a chimpanzee? What is going on?
H-O-U-D-E. Oud.
Yeah, Oud.
Oud.
Yeah. You're really giving a lot of gusto.
I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Michel Ancel.
Okay.
Because I think he is he's obviously a highly accredited creator of games. But I don't know that I feel like he had so much more to give and was kind of stuck working on the franchise that made him without the ability to kind of branch out and do other things. Because every time he did, it was highly successful, but he always was kind of like anchored to Rayman in a lot of ways.
Okay.
So he made Rayman. He also made Beyond Good and Evil, which is a cult classic game, one of my favorite games of all time.
Wow.
And a lot of people have been clamoring for a sequel. He also made the the game based on the movie King Kong, which was based on the movie King Kong.
Which is based on which version of King Kong? The original King Kong?
The original.
Wow.
So the game based on the movie, the Peter Jackson movie, which is based on the original movie.
Yeah.
So the game based on the movie, based on the movie.
But the Peter Jackson King Kong was based off the 70s version, which is based off the 1912 version.
1912?
It's like something like that.
Isn't it 33?
Yeah, 33 sounds good.
Yeah. 12 would be
Larry
crazy.
Bird. Larry Bird, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Whatever, the really old one. Yeah.
Yeah. So King Kong was also one of those games, I think an Xbox 360 launch title, if I'm not mistaken, that was pretty well received when it came out.
I want to play that game. King Kong video game?
Yeah. And like an adventure kind of exploration game, almost like what Turok wanted to be, but never apparently was. And actually, a lot of people get upset when you diss the Turok games, I found out.
Well, which, we found out because we did it on the podcast.
We did, yeah.
And we're not crazy about it.
We're not crazy about it. So the Beyond Good and Evil sequel was originally announced in 2008. We've seen updates as late as 2017, possibly even later. I may have missed it. But this is getting into like the Duke Nukem Forever territory, where it's like this game has been in quote-unquote development forever. So much so that Michel Ancel, after he was still kind of working with Ubisoft at the time.
Nice.
But he started his own game company called Wild Sheep, and they were working on a game called Wild back in 2014. Never came out. And apparently he's now retired from the gaming industry as of 2020 or so. But at the time of his retirement in 2020, he said Wild was still being worked on and Beyond Good and Evil sequel was still being worked on. So it's like, I don't know if he's just, hey, hopefully you'll get it when you get it. But if it is out there in development somewhere, that would be a great thing.
Yeah.
But the reason why I want to talk about him is because he's done
first and last name rhyme.
Michel Ancel.
Yeah.
He's like a superhero, basically.
Honestly, it doesn't hurt that happens, that your first name and your last name rhyme. That could only be more memorable. I'd actually attribute a lot of his success to that.
I think most of it, to be honest, because everyone knows Rayman's garbage.
Yeah.
It's just his name.
Yeah, it's 100%.
If you to get your name to rhyme, would you change your first name or last name?
Both of my first and last name are hard to rhyme.
Yeah, Andrew and Bascom.
Yeah. I think it would have to be Andrew and then just
Schmandrew.
Just be Andrew. I'm like Pele.
Schmandrew.
Oh, Pandrew, Andrew Pandrew.
It's because it's got a rhyme.
Yeah, it's got a yeah.
Andrew Schmandrew.
Andrew Schmandrew.
We'll go with Andrew Schmandrew.
It makes that, that makes it sound like an insult. Like, Andrew Schmandrew over there.
Yeah, and that's how it was intended.
Oh, okay, good. Well, yes. Then expected and delivered. Set it up and send it home.
Okay.
Thank you very much. What would you do?
I could be. I could probably be Mikey the Cool Guy.
I'm sorry. What now? Dude, wasn't it supposed to rhyme?
Cool Guy.
Cool Guy.
Mikey the Cool Guy.
Cool Guy rhymes with Mikey?
Yeah.
Am I saying this right? Cool Guy?
Cool Guy.
Okay.
But it's like guy. But
it's like guy, but you're also French.
Cool guys say it like that. Yeah, exactly. I'm like Michel.
Yeah,
like
you're Michel. Cool Guy.
And Frederick Cool.
Yeah. Foggy. Yeah.
Fred.
Okay.
It didn't work.
He's Rain Manning again here.
We're not doing Rain Man.
Oh, I thought we were doing Rain Man.
No,
I thought we were doing Everyone Loves Rayman.
Everybody loves Rayman.
Oh, my wife. I don't know. That's the crossover that we didn't know we needed.
No. Well, what's his name? The guy who plays Rayman's brother already looks like he doesn't have a neck. So that's kind of
Brad
similar
Garrett.
to
He looks like
yeah.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein,
Yeah.
exactly. Frankenstein's monster. That's the Zelda and Link corollary.
It really
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be so awkward. You have both at the party and you go Frankenstein and they both turn around and you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh,
fuck.
shit.
Yeah.
Apart from that, the reason why I think he could have done so well, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but the legacy of Rayman and the degree to which the games he works on are well received are kind of astounding. Rayman, the original, kind of broke barriers in terms of its graphical fidelity. They waited a long time to get it to launch on the right system. It sold over 4 million units.
Okay.
It was the 21st highest selling game on the PlayStation. Game rankings gave it's tough to say because the Metacritic score is kind of all over the place, but probably around like an 80 to an 85. So pretty good. Rayman 2 got a 93% average on the Dreamcast.
Wow.
Rayman 3 was closer to a 75%. Rayman 4, which it wasn't called Rayman 4, but it was Rayman Origins.
Yep.
And 87% to a 92%.
Wow.
Rayman, which would be 5, the sequel to Origins, which is Legends, and 87% to a 92%.
Wow.
Now, one of those games had sub 80%.
Yes.
One of those games, Michel Ancel didn't work on as the director.
Oh.
So he was kind of like he was credited with it, but not as the director. And he's like, if I were in charge of it, I would have taken it in a different direction. But the franchise is there. All the components are there.
Yeah.
You've got the blueprint from 2 earlier games there that both did really well. They mess up the 3rd. He comes back and knocks the 4th out of the park. In the meantime, he's also and especially the 4th is coming like years later. That came out in 2011 when I think Rayman 3 came out in like 2003 or something like that. In between the time that he was working on Rayman directly, like the mainline stories, Beyond Good and Evil, a very critically received game. King Kong, another critically well-received game. Everything he's touched has done really well. I feel like he felt an obligation to come save his baby and work on Rayman again.
Wow.
But like, what did we miss from this guy?
Yeah.
That he could have done with like another original IP.
Yeah. We should do that like we do with directors, where they're all like, couldn't they make a Star Wars movie? And I'm like, no, let them make whatever they want. Like,
It's like that's the measure of a good director is can they make a Star Wars movie now?
Yeah, it's like taking this guy like Marcel and going like, yeah, God, can you imagine
Michel.
Oh, sorry,
Michel Ancel.
Michel on.
How dare you?
Michel Ancel.
Michel Ancel with shoes on.
Exactly. It's like, man, I'd love for them to get their hands on Madden. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be great if they did the next Fortnite installation?
Though, give them Madden. Show us Rayman meets Madden.
Oh my God. It would be the best.
It'd be the best.
Actually, somebody does need to breathe new life into that franchise.
Someone definitely does need to.
I want to talk about it in a couple weeks when it comes out, but yeah, they supposedly have redone a large part of the game.
Oh, great.
And so I can't wait for them to absolutely lie to my face again.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
be like, it's brand new.
Brand new.
Like they're doing that thing like a used car salesman does where they're slapping the car a lot. Like this baby's good.
The trunk pops open.
yeah. The hubcaps all fall off all for wheels. It's a good car. It's a good car. And I'm like, fuck, here's another $70 so I can, whatever.
It's disappointing.
It is disappointing.
I think I've said this before. I've been saying this for a long time.
I got so disappointed.
Yeah, you really
that I
did.
just gave up. I was like,
whatever the goddamn. I've been saying for a while that sports games need to go subscription model.
Yes.
Tell me now that PlayStation and Xbox have, Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, that there isn't room for that.
Absolutely.
Because you can, they don't need to sell copies as much anymore. They just need to maintain a model on there in some capacity. Can you do it with just like a $5 per month subscription for these games?
You absolutely can. And also because
or does Microsoft pay to have your game on their service like they would with any other launch like that?
Yeah, because the sales have gone down.
Yeah.
Like clearly, like Madden used to be the biggest game in the world, and then it's now slowly eroded away from it.
Sure.
But there is models that have shown that this can be profitable and succeed in that way. Speaking of, when I opened PlayStation Plus, my player one was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "This is a game where you're a cat."
Stray.
And I've never seen her light up in that way before. I've never done that to her. She was so excited.
We will be talking more about Stray. I keep hearing great things about it, and it's all.
Let me guess, you haven't finished it?
Of course not, Andrew.
You haven't found your other cat friends?
Why would I finish that game? Why would I finish any game? I want to.
Mikey, it is not your desire to want to finish them. It is the act of not finishing them. That's the issue.
I disagree with that.
You think you're finishing games?
In my mind, I am.
Okay. That must be a dark place.
It's not bright.
No, not bright. Well,
It's not bright.
Hey,
It's
there we
not
go.
bright.
He's smart enough to make a pun, though.
It's not as bright as the colors of. Are you saying that I'm dull?
Yeah, yeah. That was your stupid joke.
I'll think about it.
Okay, you get back to me. He's not going to finish it.
I don't think I'm going to finish it. No, I want to. No, I do. We're definitely going to talk about Stray more on this podcast because I am going to keep playing it, whether I finish. I think it's only like a 6-hour game.
I started playing it.
I can do that. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that. But Michel Ancel ranked 24 out of 100 in IGN's top 100 game creators of all time.
Wow.
I think maybe he could have moved his way up there if he did more original things.
That's a very interesting list. I feel a Mushroom Club coming along.
Honestly, yeah.
Yes.
It's an old article that they did. It's now archived, but you can find it out there if you're looking for it. Rayman, though, the footprint, 45 games since 1995. It's come out.
What?
A ton of them were mobile games.
Sure.
But that's kind of the thing that I don't understand is I'm like, if I don't really know or care for Rayman that much, and you don't, and a lot of other of my gaming friends don't have that much of an affinity towards it, why is it so popular even on mobile platforms? Like, what is it about Rayman? Who is excited about them? Clearly people are buying them.
Yeah, like holy God, that's a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's over 2 games a year.
Over 2 games a year, and that's probably why a lot of these end up being mobile games.
Yeah, I guess
mobile games such as Rayman Golf, Bowling, Garden, Jungle Run, Fiesta Run, Adventures, Mini came out, I think, in 2019. So they're still making Rayman games.
So many
here.
runs.
So many runs.
Yeah.
Just easy money for them.
Absolutely.
Why not? Rayman Origins is the game I remember best. That's the one from 2011 on the Wii. That was the most amount of time I've spent with this franchise. And I'll give a little bit of context to that in a little bit. But before then, the original, September 1st, 1995, came out on the Atari Jaguar and a launch title for the PlayStation.
Yep.
The original PlayStation. It was developed, as I mentioned, by Ubisoft back when it was those 2 separate words, which is nice to think about, a long time ago. Michel Ancel. What?
Are you pronouncing it differently because it's 2 different words, or like what? Why
Ubisoft?
Ubisoft. I need to make it incredibly clear that those are 2 different words.
Ubisoft.
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 Nice. Yeah.
He started off working on it with just that one other person, Frederick Hoole.
Yep.
And then by the end of the development cycle of this game, they ended up having 100 people working on it.
Oh.
I think Ubisoft decided that this was going to be one of their flagship games. It was an attempt for them to take platformers away from the Japanese market with the release of the PlayStation.
Right.
They knew that they could kind of get a foothold in there.
Back into the hands of the French.
The French, where it properly belongs.
Yeah, we are the heart of platforming.
We are the heart with just clogged arteries with all the cheese that we're eating.
Yet they're all thin. What is that all about?
Turns out I don't know if it's the food that they're producing. I think it's the way we produce our food here.
Oh, it's 1,000% the way. Because the 2 countries where I think about like really unhealthy food, Italy and France, and I'm like, everyone's rail thin. I'm like, so do I need to start smoking or what? What happens here?
How do we do this?
Yeah, scarves. Is it the scarves they're wearing?
So the story here, Mr. Dark steals the great Protune, which keeps Rayman's people in harmony. This scatters Electoons, so Rayman has to enlist the help of Batila the Fairy, a disgraced guardian of the Protune.
Oh, okay.
Because she couldn't defend it from Mr. Dark. She lost a fight to him. I don't know why she's still called a guardian of any sort.
Yeah.
You are no longer a guardian when the thing you're guarding gets stolen from you. Unless you pull a Liam Neeson, you get it back.
Yeah.
He is a guardian.
Yes, he is. What about the Guardians of Gaul? That really failed owl movie.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't that Zack Snyder? It's a bunch
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, failed Zack Snyder. No, absolutely not. Yeah. Oh, did you see that article about the bot army that they were talking about with the release of SnyderCon? There's this really interesting article that I'll tweet out when I find it. I believe it's Hollywood Reporter, but is that it was about how the online support was created and manifested for the release of SnyderCon.
Yeah,
and it was how unbelievably like horrible it was for the WB executives, who a lot of them had nothing to do with this, and they're like, but people had to like delete Twitter or like, you know, scrub their presence off online and stuff like that because they were just getting hounded and like death threats.
Oh,
and all
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know, but they were saying that well more than half of anyone that responded with release of Snyder Cut was fake.
Wow.
And there is connections back to Zack Snyder.
Oh my God, that's unreal.
They can't directly laud, but they're like, there's so many things that just kind of end in an agency. And they're like, who's paying an agency millions of dollars.
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. It's a really weird story, and
wasn't there something similar about the Last Jedi?
Yes, and I couldn't tell you what it is, but yes, there was
basically
like
that there were a ton of bots out there to disparage the movie when like critics didn't hate it.
No.
Like, yeah.
I know there is a bombing technique about like certain things that people just don't like when they address topics they don't like, or the character is somebody they don't like or something like that. But yeah, it's a very interesting and also I will just say terrifying way of where we're trying to democratize like a social media to use your voice, and you're like, no.
We can cheat. We can game the system.
Absolutely,
here. We can game the system. That's scary. I didn't realize that. I'd love to look into it. Another reason why I just don't really like Zack Snyder all that much.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so you travel through 6 different worlds, freeing these Electoons. There's 6 cages hidden in each level. You know what this reminds me of?
Banjo-Kazooie?
Similar.
Yeah.
Although Banjo-Kazooie is more, it's a 3D platformer.
Right. No, but I'm sorry,
Fucking Cool Spot.
Oh,
Cool Spot came out in 93, I think.
Yeah.
This game came out in 95. Did this game copy Cool Spot?
Wow.
Maybe.
You're breaking some news.
I'm breaking news, and I'm breaking Michel's ankles.
Yeah. Cool Spot. You owe some money to Big 7-Up.
Big 7-Up. A game that was actually pretty good. We did that game about over a year ago at this point.
Yes.
In
our food month.
Oh,
we forget it every time.
Every time. March. Something about March. The levels, you got the Dream Forest, Bandland, Blue Mountains, Picture City, Caves of Scops, and Candy Chateau. That's where you fight Mr. Dark. Chateau.
Yeah.
Candy Chateau. Another French one, right?
Absolutely.
All this reminds me, like, when I describe this game to you, it all just sounds like super generic.
Yeah.
In the same way that, like, a kid's TV show is super generic, and then you're just like, why is it the Wiggles? Or why is it Blippi? Or why, like, what is it about that one that took off?
Yeah.
And clearly there's something to it that we don't see, or is it just lightning in a bottle? I don't know.
Yeah, and like, we'll find out in a couple minutes here when we go play the game, but I'm very curious about, like, there doesn't seem to be an overarching theme. There seems to be some kind of music thing going on, but it, like, when you started like reading out those names of the levels, it was kind of like, oh, those are just words. That's just words. Like, those are just words, man.
But that, I think, is kind of like the spirit of that era. You think of something like Earthworm Jim, which would have come out around the same time.
Love that game.
Yeah, it's a great game. And it's about how weird and colorful and imaginative and absurd it is. And I think that's where this is going to come through. What Rayman was always well known for was great music, great art, great design, and fun platforming. And maybe that speaks to the genius of a guy like Michel Ancel more. It's like Shigeru Miyamoto in Mario. Like, the description of what Mario is not like, it's like, oh, well, princess gets captured and you got to go save her, and she's in castles and this and that in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, sure, those are just words. But it is more about the serious with which you treat the subject matter, the self-awareness, and the controls. So if those all work, maybe we've got a hit on our hands.
Absolutely. I also think one of the secret successes of Mario is, did I say it right? Mario. Damn it.
I know.
God damn it. Is that we didn't have to explain who he was.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to find out the backstory and I got sucked into a tunnel and this the rest of my life. It works that he can apply to so many different ways now because he doesn't have a full backstory.
Yes.
Like, he is a little ambiguous, so you can apply him in all these directions. It's kind of like Mickey Mouse or something like that.
And every time they've tried to give him a backstory and give him more personality, it's never really worked.
No. Like, that's why I worry about that movie.
I've been worrying about that movie.
Chris Pratt. Oh, man.
We're going to hear Mario like we've never heard him before.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? I don't think so.
It's going to be like every other goddamn character.
That's exactly right.
But that's why it works that all of a sudden in the new game, you're like, the new game, it's like 5 years old, but it's like, his hat's alive. And you're like, oh, okay. Is that always been true? And you're like, yeah, we just never talked about it. Oh, okay.
Okay, great. Cool. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But that whimsy works.
Is anything else alive? Should I address one of my? You're looking at the couch you're sitting on. You're like, is everything else okay?
The couch rumbles. You're like, fuck.
Oh,
don't
crap,
turn around. Don't turn around.
You're delicious. Shit.
One thing that separates this from a lot of the other platformers at the time is that you unlock different abilities as the game goes on.
Oh, cool.
So things like you can use your hair as like a helicopter, or have like a punch that extends your hand out, like a telescoping punch. The first one you unlock though is grabbing a ledge. And to me, you have to go to a ferry to unlock these special powers. And if you go to a fairy and you're like, I need help, I cannot get up that ledge.
Yeah.
And she's like, have you tried grabbing it? And you're like,
what? What?
Those detached hands that you have?
Yeah. The floating hands?
Yeah, hold on to the edge.
Oh my God. Is it like a Neo learns Kung Fu type thing?
Yes.
He's grabbing a ledge. His eyes are like racing back and forth. He's shaking. He's like, holy shit, I can just grab it.
Yeah, he's like, you are a magician. It's like, no, I just go climb up that.
Did they send him to Blizzard to learn how to grab?
Yeah. Hey, Bobby Kotick's the wizard. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know a ton about this game specifically. As I mentioned, I did play a lot of Rayman Origins on the Nintendo Wii when it came out. It was
cool.
It was a great game. One of the things that I'm most skeptical about in this game is every time we go back to play a newer platformer with big sprites on a 4x3 screen, it just feels like there's not enough room to move. Rayman Origins was widescreen, and you had like 60x9, you could see a lot more of the screen as you moved around. We'll see how this goes. But I do remember from the videos that I've seen that it flows very well, that it does have a great imaginative life feeling. I think about something like Lilo and Stitch and how it just feels like it's alive. The animation's alive. Sure. And there's like love and life in it. And I always associated that with Rayman as well. Do you have any expectations for it? What do you think?
Platformers, I think, in my opinion, have done kind of well as we go back and play them, because the style of the game is so simple that will age pretty well. Right. I worry that like the thing is like it's so creative and the graphics are good and you're like, that's the thing. Music does age really well. Yeah. But all the other stuff, if the controls and the camera don't work, then it's going to be really hard to get back. For some reason, though, sounds like this guy's a genius. I think it's going to be pretty good.
I am excited, and maybe, if this one particular doesn't fully grab us, maybe it is worth going back to a later Rayman at a different time, but we can't do that yet because we haven't even played the first one, Andrew.
Right, that's a good point.
So as we mentioned at the top, we always love to give these games the retro reviews, but because you and I don't have any experience playing this game back when it came out in 95, we're going to first take the break, we're going to play the game, and then when we come back, we're going to give our impressions of the game based on what we think we would have thought about it had we played it back in 95. But before that, look, if you're going to join us in the gameplay segment over at Patreon, patreon.com/Retrograde podcast, instructions on how to do that will come in the break. If you're going to join us, great. If not, we'll see you on the other side in 2 shakes of a tail which isn't attached to your body.
Does Rayman have a tail?
He should.
No, we're going to find out.
Just a reminder that you can now find our gameplay segments where we play through a portion of today's game and provide video commentary while doing it over on our Patreon, patreon.com/the Retrograde podcast. Join the Mushroom Club for $5 US per month for access to all the gameplay, plus 2 to 4 bonus episodes per month where we do things like character drafts, top 10 lists, and even take some suggestions from our community. So show some support to the podcast by joining the Mushroom Club at patreon.com/the Retrograde podcast for access to bonus content and all of our gameplay segments. We'll see you guys on the other side.
And welcome back to the Retrograde.
Hello. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very polite. You're like PBS right now, or NPR.
Pretty big stinker.
Pretty big stinker. That's what PBS stands for. Big Bird at the end of every PBS. I was like, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Pretty big stinker. If you want to donate $5 at the end, blah, 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 blah. They always look for money.
I would donate if it were called Pretty Big Stinker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good. But it wasn't a pretty big stinker. In fact, it was a pretty big winner in my books. Rayman from 1995. Michel Ancel. Frederick Uhl. Do you think Frederick Uhl was related to Rayman Uhl?
Yeah, I do. I think
lesser known Montreal Canadian from way back when.
What about Ra's al Ghul?
Yes.
Ra's al Ghul or whatever it is.
I've said it 1,000 ways to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
In 1,000 different days.
Yeah.
In 1,000 different parts of this world.
Yeah. Do you think they...
In 1,000 different languages.
You said in 1,000 different languages.
See.
Oh, wow, that's 2. Okay, that's very good. We'll keep a count going. Do you think, they're like, oh, how's the Rayman games going? Absolutely. And they're like, have you talked to your brother Rosh recently? And they're like, he's like, no, we've kind of grown up. We're not really into it.
He's obsessed with this bat thing.
Yeah.
He keeps talking about it.
Ra's al Ghul, and not saying a Ra's al Ghul, is kind of like when people are like, Barcelona. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. No, thank you.
I need to establish a level here. I am not doing that. Why? You haven't gone to Ibiza? And you're like, Ibiza? Fuck off. I'm not doing that.
Is it true that that's because the king had a lisp? They've said that, and I don't think it's true.
I know. That feels like it's like too cute of a story.
Yes.
Where it's like, that's too neat. If that's true, tell us. But like, honestly, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I do think.
Oh, what do you think?
That you had a pleasant time with this game. It sounded like you were enjoying yourself quite a bit.
I enjoyed myself quite a bit playing
Quite
this
a
game.
bit.
You were correct.
A colorful game.
Yes.
A well-drawn game.
Yes.
A well-animated game.
But what did I say before we left too? And I was like, games that are like
You said, Mikey, this is the last time.
You're grabbing one of my breasts. And I was like, you're like, sorry. And Bobby's in the back, like, nice. No, is that I said like games that, especially from this period that are like, oh, graphics are incredible.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And you're like, this is going to suck. No, this breaks that exception. This is incredible.
It is. It's the time when I think we talk about the PlayStation 1 era of games as being some of the ugliest games in history.
Truly.
And it's hard to look at because you realize that there was an option to make beautiful side scrollers, platformers. And, that's not to say that the console wasn't without those. It definitely had them, Rayman being one of them. But I feel like from the onset of pseudo 3D like you had in the PlayStation, like not quite 3D like the N64 would offer, but in that realm, everyone was trying to break, like focusing more on depth than design. And if they just kind of went back to their roots, like a Rayman, and you know what Rayman reminds me of?
What's that?
Is Cuphead. In a similar way, where it's like, it's just a very lovingly, I don't know that Rayman was hand-drawn in the same way. It may have been, may well have been. I know Cuphead was. A labor of love that looks and flows well, and there's just so much character and depth of character in your interactions with the enemies that makes each enemy exciting to see on the screen. You're like, I wonder what's going to happen with this guy.
Yep.
That like the fucking, there's an enemy that attacks you by pointing you out through a telescope and taking a picture of you.
Yeah.
And then it shoots out like an airplane with a mallet on it. And he looks like he's someone straight out of Midnight Rescue. Like that game we played a while ago.
That is absolutely what these opponents look like.
Yeah.
Little trench coats with the hats and stuff like that. Yeah, it is really something. Earthworm Jim that you talked about earlier. Right. There is a lot of that kind of, if Earthworm Jim is like the gross version of creativity or weird version, this is the positive version of creativity.
It's whimsical.
Yes.
And I think that there could be an argument, or this could have fallen into the trap of being just too whimsical, like Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of thing, where it's like, okay, ground this a little bit. But it seems like everything is just so self-aware is a big element to it. Well thought out. Little things where like we came across the same enemy that looks like Squidward in one of those safari hats.
Yep.
That he like kind of like looks through sullenly through like holes in his safari hat, and he's kind of like sitting there slumping, and he walks slowly from one side to the other. And we came across that enemy like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. And then in one level, they're just standing there 3 in a row in these really tight areas that you can't jump on because they'll damage you. You don't damage enemies by jumping on top of them. Yep. And to the left and right of them are pits of water where if you fall in them, you die. And we're like, well, how do we get by these guys? We need to punch them, and we can't punch down, unlike most comedians these days. So you have to hit these giant plums on vines, which previously we had been using to jump to higher states. You punch them down and they keep jumping. You can float them across water. And we're like, maybe if we hit the plums down, it'll damage the enemies. Turns out it doesn't damage the enemies. And there's a drawing for this. Covers their head, and then makes it so you can jump on their head and get to the next point. It was fucking like,
little like cutout eyes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the guy that wears the jack-o'-lantern on his head.
Yes, exactly. And like in an animation that just feels like when you've seen one enemy and you've seen their attacks, that's it.
That's it.
They keep finding new animations and new ways to introduce enemies and use enemies that you think have become familiar and just sort of reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
It's so imaginative.
Yeah, it really is. And the colors are really awesome. They're super vibrant.
Yeah.
I thought the music was really cool. Like, there's a lot to be said about this game that is really positive.
Yeah, and we played through the majority of the first world.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was a level that repeated itself in terms of what the point of that level was. There was one level where we're flying on a mosquito.
Yep.
There was a boss fight with that mosquito, which after it, Rayman and the mosquito became friends. That was fucking adorable.
That was
I
awesome.
loved that.
Loved it.
There was a level where you had to plant seeds in the ground, jump on them, do a bit of platforming because the level area was flooding.
Yeah.
There was a one where you almost had to like skateboard down a hill of things that'll damage you on one of the plums. And as though, and figuring out how to get that to happen was an element of puzzle solving that used a mechanic we hadn't done previously to this portion, but intuited because the game allows for that sort of thinking outside the box. And while you're on the plum going down this hill, a new animation unlocks for Rayman where he's like surfing.
Yeah.
Like every time you think you're just going to hit something generic, it surprises you with something new.
Yeah, no, it really does. Like, I did love it. It's just the creativity of not only the levels themselves, but what you had to do in them. And then some of the, the other one too was almost a vertical level as well, but it was all completely platforming in with swings. It's a lot of fun. And there's fun creativity. There's bonus levels that you can get it. You can find. There's, even the ability, what I really appreciated was with Batilla the Fairy. Normal expression, I always say.
I hear you say that all the time.
When she teaches you different skills.
Yes.
We were joking before, they're like, that's so dumb. You can't even grab a ledge and stuff like that. The levels are designed so well that you don't miss it. It's just when you can, it opens up your eyes to new things. The level design is really smart about that.
It's very smart, and there are ways where you can go back to prior levels using skills that you unlock along the way to get more of the things in cages, like the Electoons, reach more tings, as they call them. Everything about the flow of this just feels so good. Yeah. And it's fun and it's funny. The
feels good in your plums.
It feels great in my plums.
Yeah, it feels all the way down.
I love the design of those plums.
I do. They look delicious.
They look delicious, and they bounce, and you can use them for a variety of things.
Yeah.
I never felt at any point in this game like I was just like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go through the motions and do this thing that the game is expecting me to do because I did it in the level before. I know that it can't constantly do that with every new level, but holy hell, like imagine you rent this game as a kid and every level you play as for the first couple days is something brand new. Yeah. Like you just feel like, of course I have to buy this game. Of course I have to keep playing this game.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine
it looks better than just about anything I'd played at the time. And it plays as well as any other game. The one knock, I think, is the speed at which Rayman moves. He's a very large sprite on a relatively tiny screen.
Fair.
And I think that kind of, we've gone back and played other platforming games similar to it. When I first saw it, I was like, this is going to be bad. I got used to it really quick, though.
Yeah. I that is completely fair. I think there is some other knocks, but Mikey, I think we should get to our score.
You want to get to our score on this game?
I think so.
Let's do it. So Andrew, you're going to be giving this game a rating out of 4 bits, and this is based on what you think you would have thought about the game back when you played it, because you hadn't played it back when you were a little kid, and I didn't either.
I wasn't a little Ray boy.
You weren't a Ray boy, and that's what they were calling them.
Yeah, that's what they were. Oh, everyone had Raymania.
And
not bad.
That's actually pretty good. Raymania.
Romania. That's where my elders are from.
Oh,
yes. We can't wait to visit the motherland one day.
Transylvania is where my Lord and Savior is from. Let's do it. Let's get to the reviews, Andrew. Your review out of 4 bits based on what you would have thought about this game had you played it back in 1995.
I would have loved this game. There is no way around this. The bright colors, the platforming, it actually reminds me very similarly. You brought up Aladdin.
Yes.
And I think there's actually a lot to that where you kind of, at times, can just step back and look around the screen and go like, okay, what am I doing here? Okay.
Yep.
There's really great storytelling in the smallest things of where to go. It is giving you these nonverbal cues. There's not a lot of English in general in this, or written stuff that is sprinkled in. It's pretty much Batilla the Fairy. That's it.
Yes.
And so they give you these clues of like you can see orbs and you're just barely, and you're like, okay, so I can get up there. How do I do that? I love that kind of stuff. So I would have loved the colors, the music, the graphics, and I just would have had a lot of fun playing this game. Now, I will say the knock that probably will show up later in the modern score as well. The controls are just not as tight. There's a couple of things that you do. We play enough video games on this podcast where you turn to each other and go, oh, come on. Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right.
Yep.
And you know what? You will learn over the course of the game to how to do it and how to control, but it isn't as tight as it could be. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 4.
A 3.5 out of 4. Yeah, I'm struggling with this one a little bit because I think that there's room for more potentially in the score.
Yes.
Does this warrant it? And I think one of the knocks might be a game like Aladdin specifically. A game that I fucking loved as a kid. Not to say that there's not room for multiple good platforming games, course. But it turns out that the games that I did end up really, really loving often did have some sort of familiarity to the characters and something that spoke to me. The thing about Rayman as a character is it never spoke to me.
No.
I saw Rayman. I always kind of disliked Rayman as a character design. I had the PlayStation.
Yeah.
I was aware of it, and I didn't get it for that reason. The gameplay is so fucking fun, though.
Yeah.
It's so fun, and it's so innovative, and I would have loved the shit out of it. 95, you're getting around the time of like just pre N64.
Right.
So Mario 64 is right around the corner. I did it too. Oh man, I'm really struggling with this one. I'm talking my way through it.
What are you struggling between? Talk it
A
out.
4 and a 3.5.
Oh, really? A 4?
The problem is that I didn't play it as a kid, and there's a reason for that. And I don't know that Rayman as a character and his friends would have been enough to keep my attention.
And his friends.
Rayman and his friends, and all the enemies that he makes friends with. Because here, okay, so I'm thinking about similar games that come out, and another one that also strikes me is Donkey Kong Country.
Okay, yeah.
A game that came out in 1994, and I think is much better than this game. In a way, maybe not much better, but it flows a little bit better. Because I'm trying to think, like, what did I play around this time that was like it? No, you know what? There were great platformers back then. I played them for a reason. I would have loved this game, but I think it still would have been a 3.5 out of 4.
Okay, so 2 3.5s. Still a very good score. 7 out of 8.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to our modern scores. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is going to be very interesting to see what we're going to do here. I, as an adult, still love this game.
Yes.
It is great. It's bright. It's unlike anything that you're playing right now. I think it would hold a special place in today's market too. Yep. That like, I want to go back and play this game. I want to keep finding out what other skills I can learn. And and really at the end, as a fully formed, like I'm not even in my final form. I'm very interested to see how much ass Rayman will eat. And just he will be the most ass eating character of all time. So wouldn't that be great? Battilla the Fairy's like, we're going to teach you how to eat ass.
Honestly,
like a real millennial.
Battilla,
she can get it.
I'd Bobby Kotick.
You'd Bobby Kotick her and then apologize,
and then it's all okay.
And then it's all okay.
And then I just get $60 million. And
go away.
Yeah.
No, I think this is an incredible game, and I really do think that not a lot of shine has to be taken off it for a lot of reasons. I still think the graphics are awesome. I think it plays really fun. The controls now are a bigger issue than they were in the retro score.
Yeah, because
things just for a game to be this simple. You do need to have a real tight control system.
Yes.
And when you got on the mosquito and it's a little floaty, okay. But then when you're kind of like off of a branch and you kind of miss it by an inch, you're like, oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a tougher pull, but it's still a great game. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 4.
A 3 out of 4. Yeah. This is a similar struggle with me, but now not between the 4. Now it's between a 3 and a 3.5. And the reason is, there are games like this that you can play which allow you to look around the environment to get a sense of where you're going. And that alone really bums me out. Yeah. And that said, if I'm going to play a Rayman game, I have Rayman Origins. This isn't doing anything too differently, so I need to leave room for the platformers that really, really nail it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a tier above it and then a tier above that, so I'm giving this one a 3 as well.
Oh, matching scores.
Matching scores.
Nice.
Andrew and Mikey holding hands, holding each other. All
nice.
Of our fans have stopped listening because Mikey's singing again.
The retrograde gives Rayman 13. There you go. That's how we should do it every time. That's how it ends.
I sing a song and then you.
Yeah, a third voice just comes in and goes, the retrograde score today was 13.
We should see what the announcer of the Oscars is doing.
Well, probably not a lot.
You know, so?
most of the year, what is he doing?
I think probably he's just working on his voice.
Yeah. What is James Earl Jones doing? Do you think we can get him?
Well, he just finished Obi-Wan.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah.
That is amazing that they still bring him to a voice recording studio.
I love how much they avoided letting Hayden Christensen get on camera for that fucking show.
Seriously, they're like, he's back. I'm like, in what part? Like, he's barely in it.
He's barely in it.
I know. Maybe he's not great.
Wasn't there a scene in that where they were because they're supposed to be doing de-aging?
Yeah.
And there was one scene in the lightsaber fight that I was like, these guys look fucking awful. More Hayden Christensen. And apparently, because of the way they filmed the scene with actual glowing lightsabers, they couldn't do the de-aging properly. And
I
they're like, it
actually
was too
did
late.
think, I'm like, man, he looks bad.
Yes.
But you know what? It just made me. He's got to get on everyone else's program of.
That's it.
Fill
He's,
my face.
he's aging like a real human being.
Yes,
That's
yes.
the problem. That's what he's up against. He didn't want to be an actor anymore.
Yeah.
He aged the way we're all gonna age, except for me because I'm gonna join Scientology.
Oh.
They're gonna look after me.
Yeah.
I've already given them my collateral.
Okay.
I mailed it
Which
to them.
is.
The DVD copy with Tom Cruise and Jamie
good.
Foxx.
Nice. Yeah. You sent them your copy
I gave them my copy of Collateral.
Very good movie.
Very good. Honestly,
Honestly,
fucking
great movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
They fly around Los Angeles
In a cab.
20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's not LA.
Soundtrack's great. They got Audio Slave.
Oh, there
got
you
Paul Oakenfold.
Wow.
Chumbi Chubar, go.
You know a lot about Collateral.
I actually fucking love that movie.
Okay, well, there we go. It's
Yeah.
not to be joked about.
Yeah, it's don't. You almost said that joke.
No, I don't.
Andrew, why are you laughing?
Not.
You just did it when you said I'm not.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry. No, I'm not. I would never joke about Scientology.
Scientology's fine. Don't joke about Collateral.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no, I would never joke about Collateral.
But if you joke about Scientology, they may burn in the bad way.
Yeah.
My DVD of Collateral.
not make more copies?
No.
No.
Burn it.
Like at the stake?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So the stakes are pretty fucking high right
I
now,
would say
Andrew.
so. The temperatures and the stakes are very high.
Oh, this is a medium rare case of please shut the fuck up.
Will do. So 13 out of 16 for Rayman. Pretty close to some incredibly high, like some exclusive clubs it could have
Did
gotten
you just
into.
turn into Jeff Goldblum? What happened there? Pretty close to incredibly high ratings.
So do you think it's just Jeff Goldblum has trouble figuring out which next word he's going to do?
I think he always knows.
You sound like George Takei.
Oh my.
Oh my.
I think he always knows, but he just likes to ham it up.
I do think it is a character. But
Yes.
yeah, and it would be great that he does seem like so excited by the words coming out of his mouth. Like, and then and then it's exciting. It's exciting. And you're like,
You sound like George Takei, Andrew.
I don't sound like George Takei.
Oh my.
But it's not going to be in maybe the most exclusive club that we have. But I'm very interested to see which awards Rayman is going to win.
All right, well, there's only one way to find out. Let's make our way over to the red carpet. We'll meet Todd Snap there. He'll take some photos. We'll meet all his Pokemon if he's allowed to bring them. I know I wasn't allowed to bring my dog, so if he's allowed to bring his fucking Onyx,
Yeah,
that's fucking not fair. That's unfair. Have you seen the size of an Onyx shit?
it's Onyx what?
Shit.
No, I've not.
Well, it's got to come out somewhere.
Yeah, I love the idea that they're like, you can't bring your dog, it'll make a mess. And you're like, what about that Slimer? Or whatever.
Muck.
Thank you.
Hey, Andrew, got a question for you.
Ah, fuck.
Do you know why Ekans is named Ekans?
It's snake backwards.
Do you know why Arbok is named Arbok?
It's a cobra backwards, but with a K for some reason.
Do you know why Muck is named Muck?
Nope. Yeah, I'm not going to think about it.
Let's go over to the red carpet.
You've been waiting for it all year. The most glamorous award ceremony of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grady's.
Oh, wow. Here we
Okay.
are
Yeah.
on the red carpet, feet firmly planted.
Yes. This is my red carpet.
I'm smacking and pointing down
You're
at
pointing
it.
Pointing my heart, pointing down.
Like who does that in the octagon?
Dan Hardy.
Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retired UFC fighter.
Retired
Dan Hardy.
UFC fighter Dan Hardy.
Just repeating what I'm saying. What's going on?
I'm just repeating
Are you
what you're
parroting?
saying. Parroting. Like the bird.
Okay, like the bird. Okay.
All right. So Elliot's making his way over here.
Elliot.
And he's somehow detached his head from
Yep.
his neck.
Yep.
That's bloody. It's
That's
first of all
really gross.
I'd say the wrong call to make. Well, we're on the red carpet, so it's going to hide a lot of those
It
stains.
is.
But you shouldn't. The white suit was a weird choice.
Yeah,
if
that
that's
was an
what
odd
you're
one. The
going
white
to.
gloves I get because, Rayman and stuff like that.
Right,
But like this,
right.
I don't.
The white suit with all that blood is honestly
all that blood.
all that blood. The only way it would make me gag is if you spelled out some words with that blood, and then I'd have to read them.
Oh God, I gotta read.
But it's still not a great look.
Oh,
Why
God.
don't you reach into that empty arm socket of yours and pull out the envelope to let us know what awards this game won?
Last week it was a pocket. This is an empty arm socket.
The Field of Childhood Dreams.
If you play it, they will review it fondly.
Oh, here we go. Mikey's gonna tell you.
Wow. The Field of Childhood Dreams.
And a really good award to win.
And a really good sound. The crack of the bat. Did you hear when I just did that?
Yeah, I do. You love doing the sound again, even
Yeah.
though everyone just heard it.
Well, listen, it's I like to double down.
Mm-hmm.
like KFC.
Yeah,
over here.
I was just gonna say you love your KFC Double Down. You're a high protein guy.
I am a high protein
Cut the carbs
guy.
out.
But that's the thing is like you got to get them the healthy way. That's why I go for the Double Down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't, no carbs. Thanks. I'm on a high protein diet. Can I just make, I always think about this every time I eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm like, couldn't I just make these buns out of meat?
Can't I just eat these meat? Look, I've got sausage on the bun. Why don't I just make the bun out of sausage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Sausage on a bun on a sausage.
Bun on a sausage.
I want that bread sandwich.
Do you remember when the Double Down was like the worst thing in the world?
Absolutely.
And now it's like that's fine. You see 1,000 of those everywhere. It's not even that bad compared to some of the other food
I
options
would
we have.
love to bring someone back from the 50s to give them a heart attack just by seeing some of the food that we make
Yes,
now.
exactly.
And honestly, some of the Simpsons jokes about like some of the stuff that they used to make and make fun of it, like just for general obesity,
Right.
have now been made. And
Tub.
it's just Tub is just the filling for Oreos, which was sold.
now exists.
Oh God.
So the Field of Childhood Dreams is awarded to any game there where the retro score is a 7 or higher.
Yeah.
And Andrew, in this case, it was a 7 or higher.
On the nose.
On the nose, it was a 7.
Yep.
3 plus 3, that equals a 6.
Right.
But you take those halves,
Oh yeah.
You
The
take
halves
one
are what
half.
gets you.
one half, put them together
What do you
like
get?
a sandwich.
Oh.
You get a meat sandwich.
So each of these fried chicken breasts are halves.
Yes.
And I press them together between, I guess, like lettuce and tomatoes or something. I
No,
have
wasn't
no
it just like cheese and bacon?
Yeah, that makes way more sense, actually. It does. Now that you say it, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's got to be it. Between cheese and bacon, that gets you, baby, a 7.
A 7.
Yeah.
A 7 alarm fire in your belly.
Seven clogged arteries. You're
Yes.
discovering new arteries to
Yeah.
clog.
All you had 4 ventricles to start. Now you got because a bunch of other holes bust open in your heart. No, a great award.
Yeah.
Field of Childhood Dreams. We still don't really know what the name of that award is based on. For the life of me, can't figure it out.
Right, because you never saw Field of Dreams.
It's Field of Childhood Dreams. is
No,
the name of
I
the
understand.
award.
It's a pun. But
Yeah.
is that you
A
need-
pun?
Pun.
Okay.
Like big pun?
Yeah, the rapper.
Yeah, the rapper.
What does he have to do with childhood dreams?
He just talks only in limericks and rhyme. He's a real wise
That
fellow-
once was
fellow.
a game named Rayman.
Yeah, that's a really good award. This game was really good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we played this game. And to be honest, what I'm really excited for is it opens us up for the opportunity to play the many, many sequels that came
100%, and maybe even Rayman Golf on mobile. Who the fuck knows? Who the
Absolutely.
fuck knows?
In 2034, when we're still doing games, it's going to be like Rayman Golf on the mobile. Here we go, I
Who
guess.
knows? Maybe it's January Rayman.
Yeah, I like that one. That's really good.
The gulp sells it.
Yeah.
So hey, by the way, speaking of great names for things, make sure to get your submissions for 3 sentences to you might guess the right name over to us, the retrograde podcast at gmail.com. Also, we're going to be starting at the end of our awards that we give out.
Yes.
At the end of the awards segments, we're going to start to do either at least listener questions because we've had a bunch of those sent in.
Yeah.
They're kind of burning a hole in our proverbial pocket where Elliot keeps the awards.
Yeah.
And we also want to switch between that and maybe doing some games and stuff like that. So send us your submissions for 3 sentences to you might guess the name.
Yep.
It's now starting to sound pretty good.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. When you said it again, I was like, ooh, still clunky, eh?
3 sentences.
It's going really well, eh? It's going so good.
3 sentences you might. 3
sentences
to
You might guess the right,
name
or whatever, yeah.
of this game.
Yeah.
You might guess the game. 3 sentences to you might guess the game.
Perfect. See? Rolls off the tongue.
3 sentences
Stop
to
doing
you might
this.
guess the game. That's good. No, say that sounds good.
Okay, what?
3 sentences to you might guess the game.
Yeah, there you go. That's clean. It's good.
It's not, honestly, it's not bad.
The problem is if we have this discussion, the episode will never end. You and I will talk about this for an hour.
And we're about to argue over good controllers over on the Patreon.
Yes,
So join us there, patreon.com/retrograde podcast.
That will be the Mushroom Club this week on top of all the gameplays. That is going to be the wrapping up at the end of the month. We're going to talk all about controllers over there.
yeah.
So support us over there at patreon.com/retrograde podcast. But more than anything, we love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name's Andrew Bascom, with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over.
3
sentences to you might guess the game.
Yeah, okay.
Want more Retrograde in your life? You can visit our website for show notes at theretrogradepod.com. Follow us on Twitter at retrogrademikey, at retrogradeandy, and the podcast at retrogradepod.
Or Instagram at the Retrograde Podcast.
For bonus episodes, check us out at patreon.com/theretrogradepodcast.
Send your questions and business inquiries to the retrogradepodcast@gmail.com.
See you next week, D-pads.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Yeah, you
I like to
definitely
say
definitely
that.
felt depressed in your life.